You cannot fully heal, shift, or change any negative or painful experience into which you are still fully invested in or one which you still fully believe in. Welcome back to another episode of Mind Mastery. I'm your host, Boris Kirchner, and today I want to share with you a very important step in transitioning from one state, one emotional state or one reality to another. A few episodes back, I shared that our emotional terrain, our emotional experience of life really comes from the fuel of the stories that we tell ourselves, the narrative about who I am and what is my relationship to the other, what is my relationship to the world, what the world is and who the others are, and what is their relationship to me. All of these lines of interaction are in essence stories that we narrate to ourselves. We say to ourselves, well, I am this kind of person, I am capable of this but not capable of that. This person is thinking this way of me, the world is in this kind of a state. And as all of those come together in particular topics, in particular moments, we experience the afflictive pain of emotion, the pain of afflictive emotions. What this is it's in essence us scaring ourselves. So in the previous episode, I suggested that when we change the story that we tell ourselves, the emotion, the feeling, the sense of who we are and what is possible for us also changes. But there's an important question that came in from that episode. And the question is this: how do I relate to the pain, the resistance that accompanies telling myself a different story? So what I understand from this question is that our initial story, our initial narrative, that one in which we feel pain and contraction, the one that we want to come out of, that has a certain emotional momentum. Say, for example, that here you are, you're really concerned about the situation unfolding in the world, and you're very scared. You're scared for your family members, you're scared for your own well-being, you're not quite sure what will happen, and then suddenly you hear this possibility, oh hey, you don't have to be in all of that fear and worry and confusion, you can tell yourself a different narrative. And you're like, okay, so how do, maybe I want to tell myself a hopeful narrative. Well, maybe all of this will blow over, or and as you're trying to do that, it doesn't feel real, it doesn't feel authentic, and it also at the same time creates a dissonance, because what you're really feeling is the pain of your original story. So just like you can't put icing on a rotten cake and have it taste good, it's still going to be rotten at its core. In the same way, you cannot put icing over or some positive emotion or some hopeful idea over something that you believe in, something that you're invested in, something that you think is real. So the first step is that we have to address the previous state. Before we create, unfold, emerge into that new state, in the new state that you want to narrate yourself into, the new state that you want to navigate towards, the new state of being, the state of feeling, before we do that, we have to address our previous state. And today I want to share with you 4 steps in order to not only address it, but to actually be able to dismantle that previous state of consciousness so that you have the room and energy and availability to embrace that new, desired, chosen state. Step number 1 is willingness. Don't rush, don't move too quickly, because the number 1 thing that you want to affirm is your willingness. Willingness for what? Willingness, this is really important, to be wrong. To be wrong. Because all of that previous narrative, all of the story, all of what you believe is true, all of that for which you feel this pain, this affliction, this suffering, the uncomfortable, contracted emotions, all of that is a belief. It's a belief. You're believing in something. What we have to understand about beliefs, even if it seems so completely true, and you're like, the world is exactly like this, the virus is exactly like this, the pandemic is exactly like this, the presidential debates and the presidential race is exactly like this. I know it because I feel it. Okay, pause. You know it because it is a belief. Okay, so all beliefs are provisional. They are not knowledge. The only thing that you know for sure, I would venture to guess, in this moment is that you are. I am. But beyond this, everything is subject to improvement, to provision, to evolution. So you may have had a perspective that was so clearly like this, but some new bit of information came in and suddenly this whole thing changes. So we have to really be willing to be wrong. Would you be willing to be wrong if it meant that you could stop suffering? if it meant that you could suddenly feel better, if it meant that you could come out of your anxiety, your depression, your worry, your pain, would you be willing to be wrong about yourself, about the world, about the other? To me, it's a no-brainer. Of course I'm willing to be wrong, because what I really want, what I really value, is happiness, love, connection. So can I have that in my contracted state? No, I can't. I'm actually trading that away from my contracted state. So do I love myself enough to be willing to be wrong so that I can have freedom and love? Okay? That is step one. Affirm your willingness. Get clear on why you are willing to be wrong about everything that seemed to be so true that caused you to feel so contracted and so unwell. Step number two is feel what there is to feel. Remember that you cannot heal what you don't feel. You cannot shift out of something about which you are unconscious, about which you are out of touch with. So first, we have to shine the light of awareness, the light of consciousness into that particular experience of emotion, that particular experience of contraction that results from you perceiving life in a certain way. So there's two things in step two that I need you to feel. So go slow. We can do that right here. And if you need more time, of course, pause. But here's where we want to feel. First, feel the feeling of resistance that you already feel. This feeling that you do not like the way something is. Perhaps you do not like the way you are. You do not like the way your partner is, or whoever the other is. You do not like the way that the world is. Feel this. Just close your eyes. Allow yourself to feel the exquisite experience of emotion related to that topic. Allow it to come up fully. Feel it fully. Here it is. Here it is. Yes, it is just like this. It's uncomfortable. It's no good. But it's just an emotion. It's just energy moving through your body. Allow yourself to feel it. Pause here. Or the second thing that I would like you to feel is your desire to feel the way that you do right now. Your desire to hold that negative perspective, that painful perspective, your desire to believe in that default point of view that you have been feeling. That is here. If you did not want to feel this, if you did not want to believe in that world, you wouldn't. But there's a certain payoff, there's a certain reason, there's a certain propensity why you do. So rather than having that desire be unconscious, the desire to believe in a particular worldview, the desire, in essence, to be right about the way things are, the way things were, the way things will be, that desire, feel this. Admit it to yourself that you actually wanted to be, perhaps you don't anymore, but feel it as if back moments ago you did. You wanted to be right about the way things are. Yes, allow this to be here. Allow it to come into consciousness instead of staying in the unconscious, being pushed down into the unconscious, subconscious. Allow it to come up. Allow it to be here. Because now you can change it. So pause here, or let's jump into step number three. Step number three is to question that original narrative until you feel the possibility that it may not be 100% absolutely correct. The whole intention of step number three is to open the door to possibility. When our mind is closed, when we already know, but remember, we don't know, this is a belief. But when we think we know, the door is closed and we cannot move. We cannot come out of that because we have signed up for it. So you cannot let go of something that you're holding on to. Wisdom, right? But what you can do is you can really question, why am I holding on to it? So what I want you to do in step number three is to take a look at that original topic, whatever that is, and ask yourself this. Do I know that I am absolutely right about that topic, about blank? Do I know that I am 100% correct? Do I know that I am absolutely 100% in alignment with the truth about that subject? Do I know with the certainty of the creator of all creation that that is the way it is? That my belief is the truth, is the truth with a capital T about that situation. Question in this way. Continue to question in this way. As an example, let's say I'm very worried about the virus, and I say, okay, so do I know with the certainty of absolute 100% doubtless certainty that what I know about the virus, this thing that I'm afraid of, that it is true? Do I know that? Is that something that I can sign up and hold out to God and say, in all truth, this is it. I know it. If I know anything, I know this. If you're willing to stand in front of God with that level of certainty, then that is what it is. Then either that, what you're experiencing, is absolute truth, or simply the door is closed and it is not time to open it yet. But I want to tell you something from my own experience, that if there's anything that you touch on that is the absolute truth, that is the truth to which you will be willing to write it on this poster board and hold it up to God and stand before Him in all your glory and say, this is the way that it is. All of those truths, in fact there's one, but all of the facets of that one truth, the moment you touch it, it is bliss, it is love, it is absolute freedom. So unless you are feeling bliss, love, and absolute freedom, then please know that what you are experiencing is an unwillingness at the level of the ego, at a subconscious level, not at any level that I or anybody else or you should blame yourself. Not at all. Simply that this is the stage that we're at. Try again in 5 minutes, tomorrow, in a year. It will move, because the ultimate destination of every one of us is absolute freedom, love, and bliss. So if you have been able to question this in step number 3 and see, okay, wow, so maybe I don't know with absolute certainty that this is true. What does that do? That opens the door, that opens some space, that puts a crack in that seemingly impenetrable wall, and suddenly you realize that that wall is just a facade. It opens the door to step number 4. Step number 4 is simply shift. Now it's time. Now you're ready. So to shift, here is what you need to do. The singular intent of step number 4, and actually all of the other steps too, is that you love yourself enough to find another way to look at this. A more freeing way, a more loving way to look at this situation. One that inspires confidence, one that inspires you to feel that you can figure it out, that you can move through this, that there's hope, that there is possibility, that there's reason for you to be here, you belong here, the situation, you can handle it. This kind of perspective is available, and it's not an airy-fairy perspective. It is a real perspective that you can occupy, that you can believe in to the same extent, if not more, than your previous perspective. And just like in your previous perspective, you were not alone, nor will you be alone in this new perspective that comes to you. So how do you do it? Here is the key. I'm going to give you a ladder, a question that you can use to climb up into a higher perspective. And it is this: what if this situation, whatever this is, this topic, what if this is all happening for me? What if all of this is happening for me instead of against me? What if by some grace, some fortune, some luck, there is an incredible lesson here for me to learn? There is a potential for me to become a greater version of myself. What if this situation is for me? What if it's helping to free me of a limiting belief? What if it is helping to evolve me to a higher level of consciousness? What if it is for me? Hold this in mind. What if this situation is for me? What if this situation is here to benefit me? What are those benefits? Why is it here? Start with that premise, that it is here for you, and listen. Be quiet and listen in your mind. Keep asking this question, but listen. And what you will hear is a new narrative emerging, such as, let's go back to the virus example, and I've gone through the steps, and now I say, what if this is for me? And I realize, okay, wow, what if this is time given to me to really connect with my family? I know they may be all over the place, but I got a phone and I can connect with them, and I've been so wanting to be in touch, and I've been so busy with everything. That's the gift. It is here to help me build connection. Where else can I build connection? So, okay, so that's one. It can go in any direction. the most important point here is that you ask this question and you allow your own withinness to supply the answer to you. And with that, I want to thank you for participating in another Mind Mastery episode. I hope this has served you, and I hope that you get to actually apply it. Change your consciousness, change your life, change your emotional experience, and show yourself that you are the master of your mind. Not the thoughts, not the news, not what other people tell you, not what's flooding in, making you feel scared within your own mind and body. No, you, through your conscious choice, get to direct your mind towards thoughts, ideas, ideals that are beautiful, inspiring, elating. And you get to receive the full benefit of that by feeling incredible. Take great care, and I'm looking forward to speaking with you again soon.